Hi y'all, I'm in France for the semester. Crazy, I know. We're currently sitting in my bedroom. There are some clothes on that chair right now. That's not because I'm messy, but it is because culture shock time. We don't have a dryer. Don't judge me for trying to dry my clothes, please. This right here is my bed. That's all I can say about that. I just spilt most of my water bottle on it, so that's how that's going. I'm in Aix-en-Provence. I've been here for about 14 days, 14, 15, give or take, and I have 3 months left to go. Aix-en-Provence is a really beautiful city. It's so old. Like, you're walking around and you're like, holy crap, this is so old. This predates my grandparents, my great-grandparents. Like, it's an old city. And then there's a lot of history to it as well, which is really fascinating. And I may get into that, but I don't know yet. So I've been here for about 2 weeks, and I've visited 2 other French cities outside of Aix. The first one is Cassis. Cassis is this really old fishing town. It's just about a little bit more southeast of Marseille, and I am north of Marseille. So it takes about a 45-minute bus ride to get there. And then once you're there, there's this beautiful blue water. Oh my gosh, I love the Mediterranean. In the morning, we got to go on a boat tour. I could not really hear what the tour guide was saying because I was on the back of the boat. He had a real thick French accent, and I'm getting better at understanding French. Also, like, this audio, his microphone, his speaker was not loud at all, so I couldn't really hear him for that. But other than that, Cassis was beautiful, and I really enjoyed it. After the boat trip, we got 2 hours, I think, to just hang out and go grab lunch. I also bought this postcard. I'll show you. Obviously, I have a journal that I am documenting some of my travels in. I haven't really written in it since I turned 20, I believe, which was in July. So I'm a bit behind on keeping my life updated, which sucks because I really like to journal. But this is the postcard I got from Cassis. I thought it'd be somebody on the trip was getting postcards, and I was like, oh my gosh, I should do that too. But I kind of want to lean towards fridge magnets. Anyways, so after the boat tour, after lunch, we got to do a wine tasting. There is one vineyard in Cassis owned by an ex-French soccer player. They supply a lot of the wine in Cassis, and you could only get it in Cassis. But we got to tour the winery, which was really cool because I told people in high school that one of my dream jobs was that I was going to own the vineyard from the Parent Trap movie. Still agree with that. I think it's a beautiful place to live. And I love Dennis Quaid, so it works. Don't really enjoy wine all that much. We tried 3 different wines. Last one was not my favorite. The first one was, though. I'll give them that. But yeah, and then we were all so tired. We kind of just got on the bus and went back. We got to stop at this cliff. Oh my gosh, the cliff. I forgot about the cliff. So in between the vineyard and lunch, we stopped at this cliff, which is almost the highest point in Cassis, I believe it is. It's a very popular tourist spot because you can stand on the cliff and you could see the entire city underneath it. I got some great shots. Follow my photography Instagram page, jessicaropolo.photo. Let me double check that. I have about 4 different Instagram accounts that I run, and I don't know the names. jessicaropolo.photo. I don't know the usernames to any of them. These were the cliffs. Can you see it? So it was beautiful. It was quite beautiful. Very green, very luscious. Wine tasting was fun because the people in my group that I am studying abroad with, we don't really know each other fully yet. We had known each other for about 5 days before we went to this trip to Cassis. So we got to drink wine and chat. Every other minute, somebody was like, I'm going to live here one day. This is my home. It's calling to me. This is the place I'm going to live. It was just so perfect. It was so perfect. The next trip we went on was to Marseille. I went last Friday with 9 other people. There was a school trip to Avignon that very same Friday, but I am planning on going to Avignon by my own because I do want to go. I want to go see the aqueducts. It's so nerdy of me, I know, but there is literally it's so old here. Everything is so old, and it's kind of scary. I walked into a church in Aix and I saw 4th century mosaics. How is that allowed? How in the world, after everything? If you think about the 4th century, it's 300s? That floor has probably seen so freaking much. And then you're thinking about the person who put this floor there, not even considering the fact that people hundreds and hundreds of years from now are going to see this floor. Anyways, I digress. Let's talk about Marseille. It is the second biggest city in France, right behind Paris. So there is a lot of bumbling people around. So Marseille is pretty old as well, like most places in Europe are. However, it was really interesting because there was like an obvious shift of the type of architecture that was used for apartments on the ocean side. You looked to the ones on the right and they're kind of older, and then the ones on the left kind of looked like it was newer. That is because Germany bombed France way back when in World War II, and they bombed the entire like beach ocean front of Marseille. Do you guys see my phone right now? This is because I set it down in this puddle of water that I had on my bed. Really hope it's not wet tonight. It's like, since this bombing happened, they lost a lot of their old buildings and stuff because it completely destroyed everything except for one lone building. I got to see one of the oldest buildings in Marseille. It's Hôtel de Cabré is how I would say it. My French is still not very good, so please don't say anything to me about it. It was built, quoted from the Marseille tourism website, it was built in 1535. It is the oldest building in Marseille, and Marseille is also the oldest city in France, according to Wikipedia. So one of the first things we did in Marseille before we got to see that really old building is that we took a train, like a tourism train, and it took us all the way up to the top where this church rested. So this church is resided on top of the hill, kind of like overlooking Marseille, and it's Basilique Notre Dame de la Garde. I gotta get better. It's like at the top of this hill overlooking the city. So we also got a lot of good aerial shots. Not really, but technically, I guess. I don't know what the other word would be. And this church was also super old, and it was also super, super windy. Holy crap, was this church windy. Shout out to my roommate who brought her brush. This is a picture of the mosaic that was on the floor of the church. As you can tell, there are two architectural details I love in this world. One is stained glass windows. I am a sucker for stained glass windows. And there's another church that we went to. All I took was pictures of the stained glass windows in the church. 2, mosaic flooring. I think mosaic flooring is so beautiful. It's an art form. Both of those are both art forms, and I think it's so pretty. Then there was also another church that we went into, Cathédrale de la I don't know how to say major in French, but it was Cathedral Major. That's where I took all the stained glass windows pictures. And then we ended up walking up to this, like, what is this called? Fort Saint Jean, which is not how you pronounce it in French, but it's this fortress overlooking the city. Marseille has a history of rebelling from their government in the past. So this fort was kind of put there to whip them into place, which honestly, good for the French for rebelling. I also really want to go to Cave Lascaux. That's on my list. I learned about that in my architecture class freshman year, and I have been dreaming about it ever since. Another thing that I need to tell you is that Haribo gummy bears are really big here. There's a factory right outside Marseille, but there is a huge gummy bear statue in honor of Jack, I think is the guy who founded Haribo, which I think is hilarious. Like, it's not even a gummy bear, it's a double-sided gummy bear. So there is no gummy bear butt, and it is the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen. Another thing about Marseille that I didn't really mention is that street art is very big there. Snaps to street artists. One of the bigger street artists, I don't know if he's still active now, but he was like big in the 70s and 80s. Let me fact check that real quick. Okay, so I said 70s and 80s, I think, and I was right. He was a big artist in the 70s and 80s, and he was a street artist named Invader. He would go around putting space invaders on the sides of buildings. Some people treat it like a game, like Pokemon, where you have to catch them all. There's one in X actually in a tunnel. It's one of my favorite tunnels. There's 2 tunnels in X. One of them is the Alice in Wonderland tunnel, and the other one is the Crepe tunnel. I don't know what else to tell you, but there is one here, and there's a couple in Marseille. Invader made these ceramic tiles of like the Space Invader characters and put them on the sides of buildings, and it's really interesting because nobody paints over the Invader characters. So I'm wondering if it's just like this unspoken agreement among street artists of the area to not deface. Invader's pretty cool if you want to check him out. He has a bunch of Space Invaders all over France, all over Europe. I actually think there might be some in New York, but if you go to the World Invasion tag on the website, this is the invaders in Europe. Driving is so scary here. I don't understand how drivers do it. I keep looking in the viewfinder. This is the first time I've ever vlogged on an actual camera. Can you tell? I am going to Paris house tomorrow. I hope to bring you along there. It might be another phone vlog because vlogging on my camera seems really hard. Like, I don't, like, this is how close I'd be. And that's, like, I'm not barely touching the camera. I don't think I can do that. And also, nobody here knows I have a YouTube channel. Like, this is kind of embarrassing. Talking to myself in my bedroom is a little bit embarrassing. But, hey, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to follow me more on my study abroad escapades, my travels, subscribe. You guys want to see out my window? It's kind of surreal. This is what I'm facing right now. But it's just like this pine tree. Oh my gosh, there's somebody walking. Okay, that's it. I'm done. See y'all later.